Welcome to Tokyosaurus. Here we have yet another Japanese character inspiration video. And this time we'll be taking a look at McKraken from Yokai Watch. Chairman McKraken is the final boss and main antagonist in the first Yokai Watch game. He's the leader of the group trying to take over the yokai world. His special ability is being able to absorb energy through the holes of his hands. Appearance-wise, McKraken has gray skin with a large body, but most notably, he has a squid-like beard that kind of connects to his hair. He dons a white robe that sort of resembles that of a scientist cloak. His full name and title is Yokai World Chairman Squidilius McKraken. In his second form, his appearance changes into a monster, with numerous tentacles on his back and becomes more yokai-like. McKraken is the one responsible for taking over the yokai world, and when he attempts to take over the human world, well, you just have to finish the game to know what happens. He sees yokai that side with humans to be considered as pets and traitors to the yokai world, and he doesn't believe that yokai and humans can befriend each other. So now that we know a little bit about McKraken, is there a yokai from folklore that McKraken could be inspired from? The answer is yes, but we'll take a look at that later. First, let's take a look at his English name, McKraken. It is quite obvious that this character takes inspiration from the legendary creature kraken from Norwegian mythology. The kraken is a gigantic sea monster that is believed to have lived off the coasts of Norway and Greenland. In Norwegian, the word kraken is derived from the word krak, which means an unhealthy animal or something twisted, which is a very good way to describe McKraken actually. Krakens are depicted in a number of ways in the past, but it is largely drawn as a large octopus-like creature with spikes on its suckers. But in earlier depictions, it is drawn as more crab-like than octopus-like, and generally have traits that resemble undersea volcanic activity such as bubbles in water and sudden and dangerous currents. But just how big is a kraken? This was never agreed upon, but generally they can be up to 1.5 miles long or the length of many ships. Some stories even say that unlucky sailors would mistake a kraken for an island and try to land on it only to be dragged down into the ocean shortly after landing. If sailors ever saw a large group of fish or jellyfish, they knew something was coming up from down below. That's how you knew a kraken was approaching. But usually if a sailor already saw that, it was too late to escape. The kraken's giant size made it impossible to navigate out of its way. What's most curious is that people have been trying to prove and disprove the theory of a kraken up to this very day. A very large dinosaur fish called the Tokyosaurus has its fossil found in a pattern similar to the way that octopus place the bones of their meals. And even more interestingly, their ribcage was found to show signs of constriction, as if a large tentacle was wrapped around it. If there was an octopus that was big enough to eat an ichthyosaur, then that would certainly match the description and size of a kraken. Kraken may still be a myth, but big giant squids are definitely not. We have discovered giant squids that can weigh up to 600 pounds, but they rarely surface the waters. And the very best part about the kraken is that it was believed that because he eats so much fish, that his poop is actually fishy, which is so delicious smelling that it attracts many other fish that would come and eat it, which the kraken would then in turn eat the fish and produce more bait for even more food. And that is how he is able to grow to the gargantuan size he is. Other than being ridiculously big, the kraken actually has no special powers. It doesn't have any supernatural abilities that can curse you, poison you, it's just ridiculously big. Similar to McKraken from Yokai Watch, who also doesn't have any special abilities other than his ability to absorb energy through his hand and grow his power just like the kraken grows its own power through non-stop eating. But as the final boss of Yokai Watch, it's kind of surprising that he is not inspired from an actual yokai. There is one yokai though that is octopus-like and can grow into many times its own size. Its name is Korimako, which literally translates to cloth octopus. Korimako are believed to live in the seas between Kyoto and Fukui and have a very similar appearance to a normal small octopus. Only when they are threatened, they grow instantly to many times its own size, large enough to engulf other fish, fishermen, or even a boat. It will bring you to the bottom of the sea, which then it would proceed to feed on you. After feeding, it will shrink back to its original size and pretty much impossible to trace at that point. I would say McKraken isn't so much inspired from Korimako as the kraken itself. Korimako might even be inspired from the kraken story that has become so popular in poems, novels from the 13th century and onwards. So, what did you think of McKraken's inspiration? Let us know in the comments below. Also, who do you want to see next on Tokyosaurus? Let us know in the comments below as well. Follow Tokyosaurus on Twitter and Facebook for Japanese culture tweets and updates. Like the video if you want more like this, and subscribe so you can get the latest videos right in your inbox. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.